Our story begins in Antarctica in the early 80s. That alone just can't be good. But when these scientists pick up a weird signal coming from an impossible location, they decide to chase it to the source. What could go wrong? Well, everything. When the ice underneath them gives in, their snowcat dives into a creepy dark gallery and gets stuck. Some fun at last, boys. 2 days later, Kate is working in a lab at Columbia University. She's a paleontologist with not much of a social life. And when her friend Adam stops by, he's not there to ask her out. In fact, he's not even alone. He brings his boss to meet her. Dr. Sanders is a Danish scientist. His friends run a research station in Antarctica, and they've just found something spectacular. He'll fly there tomorrow with Adam, and they want her to join the team. Besides the long distance and the incredibly short notice, there's also the fact that Sanders refuses to give more details about the discovery. But Kate's not the kind of person who will miss an adventure out of fear. So the next day, she's in a cargo helicopter with a bunch of Norwegian nerds and 2 American pilots, Carter and Jameson. Telling everyone that there's a nasty storm coming, Carter says they should wrap up their work as soon as they can and get back. They arrive at the Thule station, a Norwegian scientific camp. Immediately directed to the site, they go into an icy cave where lots of people are working. The man in charge is Sanders' old friend, Edvard. He introduces them to Juliet and Carl, both geologists in the team. And then he finally shows them what this is all about. It's a massive spaceship that seems to have crashed into a glacier, carving a long tunnel into the ice. Edvard estimates the ship has been stuck there for 100,000 years. The distress signal must have been triggered when the survivor left the craft. So when Sanders called this spectacular, he was not joking. There is an actual alien life form trapped in the ice just under surface level. This is what Kate is here for, to dig up an alien. Sanders tells Adam to keep everyone off the radio to avoid leaks. At the camp, Kate meets a man named Peter and his friend Lars. Peter says that Lars can't speak English. They also have a cute dog there. Kate shares a room with Juliet, as she's the only other lady at the camp. She looks up and says they'll never see those stars the same way they did before. On the next day, a huge block of ice is sitting in one of the rooms, and it has an alien inside. Everyone gathers around in awe, and Sanders says he wants a tissue sample. Kate doesn't think it's a good idea because they don't have the right equipment to do that properly. Making a point to categorically ignore her, he starts sending people to fetch him the tools, and then he follows her out of the room and tells her not to contradict him again. She's not there to think. She's there only to dig up the alien for him. Kate is clearly appalled, but chooses to hold her peace. As soon as the tools are ready, they drill into the ice and collect the sample. In the evening, they have a celebration. Everyone is excited at the prospect of becoming famous. Sanders makes a speech about changing the world forever and stuff like that. All the while, the ice is slowly but surely melting in the next room. Someone points out that to celebrate such an incredible breakthrough, the booze could be better. A man named Griggs says they have a bottle stashed in the helicopter and he volunteers to go get it. Right after he leaves the safety of a large group, Jameson does the same, to go to the toilet. Now, if you've been watching all the Scream movies, as I hope you are, you know it's time to place your bets. Who's the one about to regret their decision? Griggs could have done without the booze, while Jameson couldn't really ignore nature calling him to the toilet. But don't go rooting for the pilot just yet, because he decides to double down on the stupidity. On his way back, he stops by the alien room to have a closer look. So we have a winner, of course. The creature pops out of the ice and breaks through the roof in a single movement. Completely terrified, Jameson runs to tell the others. They all sober up really fast and go check his story. The ice block in the middle of the room now looks like an eerie, empty cradle. After hopelessly staring at it for a few minutes, they start to put on heavy clothes for the freezing weather outside. The plan is to search the whole camp in groups of 2 or 3. Whoever finds the fugitive should call out and not try anything stupid. Let's see how that goes. Griggs teams up with Carter and Jameson to check the helicopter, but he can't remember whether or not he left that door open. While they're carefully going in, Edvard and his team are checking on the dog. They find a horrid sight there, but the culprit has already left the scene. The lucky team turns out to be 2 guys named Olav and Henrik. Following a faint whining sound, they find the creature cooped up under a shack. They actually do as they've been told and call out, but that's actually a mistake. The alien doesn't seem to like shouting very very much, and he has a dramatic way to let Henrik know. While one of his tentacles gets the message across, Olav tries to get help, but it's too late for Henrik. The others arrive just in time to see him become alien dinner. Shooting the creature doesn't seem to do much, so they torch the whole shack with the specimen inside, despite Sanders' shy opposition. Back inside, Olav gets some medical attention while the others try to process what just happened. Once again, Sander has zero tact and ignores the fact that they're all grieving a close friend. He wants to study the remains of the creature. This might have been the only extraterrestrial visit ever, so they must overcome their emotions in the name of science. He doesn't say fame and glory, but by now they all know better. They say this is the kind of thinking that got Henrik into the monster's belly. Carter says they should destroy the thing completely. He also says he'll fly Olav to a military hospital in McMurdo tomorrow morning, and when people start asking questions, he'll tell the truth. The two scientists quickly understand that it means they don't have much time to work. Unlike Sander, Edvard is much more conflicted because he's become very close to these people, but his scientific mind prevails. He tells Jonas and Peter to go get the creature and bring it inside. So now the party crasher is on a table in the lab. When they cut it open, they see Henrik inside. He's wrapped in a gooey tissue that Sander identifies as part of an absorption process. That gory sight is too much for Juliet and she feels sick. Griggs follows her outside to ask if everything is okay. Still working on the specimen, Kate pulls out a titanium plate. Henrik's friends tell her he once broke his arm and had that implanted. She says that might explain what it's doing inside the alien, but how did it end up outside Henrik's arm? No one has a good explanation for that at the moment. Looking at a sample from Henrik through the microscope, Kate sees something even more disturbing. The cells are not dead as they should be. She calls Adam to have a look too. The alien cells are kind of feeding on the human ones, and after they eat one, they instantly morph into its shape, just like a body snatcher. Neither Kate or Adam had ever seen anything like that before. In the morning, Olav looks even worse. Griggs and the pilots are ready to fly him to the hospital. Carter tells Kate they'll be back as soon as they can if the weather holds up. But while they're loading the chopper and saying goodbye, Kate finds something weird on the bathroom floor. It's a bunch of fillings from someone's teeth. Investigating a bit further, she finds something even worse behind the shower curtains. Kate runs outside and starts to flag down the helicopter. Jameson wants to ignore that, but Carter decides to check it out. Olav is getting impatient with that. Griggs tries to comfort him, but then his own face starts to behave in the most unexpected way. His entire front splits in two, revealing an alien interior, and he attacks poor Olav. People on the ground realize there's something wrong up there. The chopper starts to spin erratically and then crashes down behind the hills. A huge explosion is heard. They try to reach McMurdo Station, but the radio is dead. There's too much interference from the incoming storm. Looking at the map of the area, they see the crash site is impossible to reach. Edvard and Sander have a conversation in Norwegian to avoid the American ears. Sander is still against the idea of bringing in any outsiders, but Edvard says they're past the point of claiming discoveries now. 4 people have been lost, and now they have no means of transportation or communication. So he tells Lars and Colin they should take a snowcat to the nearest base. Meanwhile, Kate goes back to that bathroom and sees that the evidence has literally gone down the drain. She can no longer keep quiet about this. Interrupting the meeting, she tells everyone that the thing can replicate a person, and it probably has done just that. Most of them scoff at the idea when she mentions Henrik's sample. Adam chickens out and says he's not sure what he saw. Sanders suggests a private discussion with her, but the others protest. This is no time for secrecy, so Kate shows them what she found on the bathroom floor. Only organic material can be copied by the alien cells, so it spits out all the inorganic parts like the titanium plate. Henrik's assimilation was interrupted by the fire, but the creature must have taken someone else. As the shower was cleaned after the helicopter left, one of the people in that very room is not human. Concluding that she must be crazy or something, everyone scoffs at the story and goes about their business. Except for Juliet. She has seen Colin coming out of the bathroom a moment earlier and he was carrying some towels. Kate says Colin is about to take the snowcat with Lars, and they can't let that happen. Then Juliet has an idea. They could just hide the snowcat keys. She shows Kate where to find them. But then we see the truth. This was just a way to separate her from the group. Juliet begins the transformation and attacks. Adam, Jonas, and Peter bump into a frantic Kate. The creature has gotten to Carl instead, and Juliet's head is still recognizable, while part of her is attacking the man. Realizing that Kate was absolutely right, they finish off the thing with a flamethrower. But that doesn't mean they're safe now. While they're burning the departed at night, Kate explains that the alien can detach parts of itself. That's how it could be inside the chopper and cleaning the shower at the same time. It could still be among them, and it could be anyone. Pater says in that case, they should get the hell out of there. But she says that's exactly what the thing wants, an opportunity to spread over the whole planet. This is a virus and should be treated as such. That means the camp is under quarantine until everyone gets a blood test. In an effort to enforce the announced lockdown, Kate and Lars start to disable all the vehicles. Then he signals that he wants to show her something. Right now, she's probably thinking they should have been in trios, and he's not trying to attack her at all. He wants to show her where the grenades are in case she needs it. Edvard shows up at the door to call them back inside. The storm is getting worse. As they walk back to camp, they see two people coming their way. They seem to be in bad shape and struggle to walk. When they get closer, they see it's the two American pilots. Pater says no human could have survived that crash. He wants to torch them right away. Better safe than sorry. But Kate says they could be very sorry later if they act on impulse. Jameson and Carter can be locked up until the test is ready. Sadly, that will never be. While they're having this joyful philosophical debate, someone burned down the entire lab. Now, everybody is yelling at each other and making accusations. Kate steps in to say there's another way to tell who is human for sure. They can just look into each person's mouth and check if they have fillings. In case you're wondering why the hell she hasn't done this before, it was probably to avoid what happens next. The ones who have been flossing their whole lives are outraged to be rewarded with suspicion. Not to mention the gun in their faces. 4 people get cleared: Lars, Jonas, Pater, and Kate herself. Standing in the corner of shame are Adam, Sander, Edvard, and Colin. For absolutely no good reason, Jonas and Lars go outside to get the 2 Americans. Jonas tries to protest and say they can just be locked up a little longer, but this time the dumb decision comes from Kate. She says they have to know. Of course, it goes very wrong. Jameson and Carter have escaped, and Jonas sees Lars getting yanked away by something in the dark. Sander and Edvard speak to Pater in Norwegian to bypass Kate. They keep saying they're not the enemy, and he should be worrying about the Americans outside. Jonas comes back in panic, saying Lars was taken and the prisoners are gone. The chaotic yelling starts again, and they keep pointing fingers at each other until they hear a glass window shattering. Carter and Jameson are inside, and they have a flamethrower. Pater has one too, and he's totally out of control, asking them what they've done to Lars. They swear they haven't touched him, and they also claim to still be fully human. Jameson realizes that Pater is about to fire and takes him down first, causing an accidental explosion. Edvard is unconscious now, so Jonas has to carry him to the rec room. But before they get there, he has a nasty surprise. Edvard's limbs detach from the rest to attack everyone. To make things worse, Carter's flamethrower seems to be jammed and he can't fire at the creature. Jonas and Jameson are attacked by the limbs, while what used to be Edvard becomes an anthropod, and it looks like it's eager to bond with Adam. By the time Kate gets the weapon fixed, it's too late. All she can now do is torch the remains. Besides Kate and Carter, the remaining survivors are only Sander and Colin. But not for too long, as Sander is soon heard screaming. So now Kate and Carter set out to end the two-headed creature. After a sudden attack of the thing, Carter ends up alone and hiding behind a shelf with a silly knife. But Kate shows up just in time to torch the thing before it gets to him. They follow the monster outside to finish it off, but it's not over yet. They see Sander driving a snowcat, and they know that's not really him. So Carter repairs a snowcat, and they go after alien Sander. Now Kate finds herself in the same situation she described before, trying to scare the others into some sense. She's inside a vehicle with a person who might not be a person. We know she is safe though because we can see Carter has an earring. The other snowcat is abandoned outside the icy cave. Right after they go in, the alien ship starts to power up. Kate falls through a vent and wakes up inside the craft. Carter goes down the hatch to save her. She snoops around for a while until alien Sander comes to chase her. A well-aimed grenade inside his mouth not only does the job, but the explosion seems to disable the spaceship too. They leave the cave, and Carter says there's a Russian station 50 miles away. They can drive there now, and it will be all over. A happy ending for both of them, except the earring is gone. Kate asks about it, and Carter reaches for the wrong ear. Alien Sander must have gotten to him inside the spaceship at some point. She has no choice but to torch the only other human left. But is that really true? What about Colin? Well, the poor guy is frozen in front of the radio by the time a helicopter arrives at the camp. So who is firing a gun at the pilot from one of the windows then? It's Lars. He's alive. He demands to see the pilot's teeth before anything else. And then his dog shows up, but he knows better now. Getting in the chopper as fast as he can, Lars fires at the dog many times, but all we can see is that happy doggo still running free. And this is the end. This was a recap of the 2011 movie The Thing by Strike Entertainment, starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Joel Edgerton. Do you think that dog will make it to a big city? Is that sequel potential? Let us know in the comments below with #CinemaRecap. Until next time.